What's up, everyone? What's up? Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I go by Zombie. I'm very passionate about spirituality, specifically astrology, and one of my main goals with this channel is just to be able to show people how self-improvement and spirituality really go hand in hand. And so if you're interested in any of that, or just interested in becoming a better version of yourself, possibly, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me, and let's hop right in. And so, in this series, I've been running through the placements that you would find in your birth chart. I'm going to leave a link in the description for you. If you click that, it'll take you to a site where you can put in, your personal information, and it'll create a chart for you. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about your Mercury sign. So in astrology, your Mercury sign represents the way you communicate. It also represents the way you process and learn new information. Now, what that essentially means is, if you think about like your mind, your mental processes, right? Let's just say your logical reasoning, cognitive function of your brain. Now, also, you have the more imaginative, the more subconscious part of the brain, and that's also ruled by Mercury, but in somewhat of a different aspect. But what Mercury is naturally for, right, the purpose of it is that logical reasoning, right, that rational thinking. And so your Mercury placement also suggests areas of life where you might be naturally talented. So like if you had like a Pisces Mercury or something like that, you might be a little bit more musically inclined, right? Because if you think about Pisces, and Neptune, you think about music, of course, and creativity, or you might be just artistically inclined in general, right? Whether it be painting or, drawing or anything like that. And, also, let's just going back to the information, the learning part of it, learning aspect of it. Maybe let's say you had like a Pisces Mercury, you might be a slower learner, or you might just learn at your own pace, or you might learn better when you're by yourself. So the correlation, again, you have your communications style, just staying on Pisces energy. Let's say you had your Mercury in Pisces, you might communicate slower, you might take more time, you might need more time, honestly, to process your thoughts. And again, I'm about to get to the reason for that, but just to stay where we're at right now, the way you process information, again, as I said, is also very, very important function, very important role that Mercury plays. Your natural talents, again, like I said, any natural abilities you might have. Let's say you had like a Libra Mercury. So again, Libra is represented by the scales. When you think Libra, you definitely want to think unbiased opinions. You want to think fairness, a sense of justice, right? And so with Mercury there, you might do well in situations where you would have to be diplomatic or see both sides, maybe like a political situation, or even maybe in a religious sense. But most definitely when it comes to communicating from an unbiased standpoint, I would say Mercury and Libra would be pretty. And Libra is also an air sign, right? So if we move on to functionality, like I have right here, Mercury is at home in Gemini and Virgo. And what that basically means, domicile or the home sign, is that's where it's naturally the strongest. Those are the signs it rules. And so Gemini is an air sign, like I said, Libra is an air sign. And so anytime, even if it's not his home sign, being that Libra is an air sign, if you have Mercury here, naturally it would probably be better. You'd probably have an easier time thinking in a more rational, logical, systematic way. And of course, Virgo also being an earth sign is very practical, very, very rational, thinking wise. The detriment, that basically means, where it's weaker at. And so Sag being opposite of Gemini, and also being a more imaginative type, intuitive type sign, I would say, being a more spiritual sign, like Pisces also. Um, Mercury there is considered being there, excuse me, would be considered to be in its detriment, right? So if you have Mercury and Sag, it would consider kind of a weak placement, just because the nature of Sag, it doesn't really, Sag is kind of a limitless energy. Sagittarius, they like to travel, right? They like to expand. They like to move. And so when it comes to thinking, right, and processing information, it might be harder for someone with Mercury and Sag to stay like on, or to focus, excuse me, to stay focused on one thing, because your mind kind of wants to wander, naturally. And that can be clinically diagnosed in some cases as like ADD or ADHD. But also with Pisces, the same thing, because here, like you see, it's exalted in Virgo, and exalted, excuse me, like the exaltation basically just means at home. It's kind of the same thing, but it's just not the ruling sign, even though in this case it does rule Virgo, excuse me, Mercury rules Virgo, and it's also exalted in Virgo. But if you think about like the moon, for example, the moon rules Cancer, like the sign Cancer, but it's exalted in Taurus, even though it doesn't rule Taurus. It's just kind of being in Taurus, it makes it easier for the energy of the moon to kind of manifest and express itself, right? Just because of the similarities, between the energies of the sign, excuse me. But in this case, Mercury rules Virgo and it's exalted in Virgo. So having your Mercury in Virgo would definitely mean you are like, you can overthink, most likely. You probably overthink a lot, but you can be a very tactful, very practical thinker. Problem solving probably comes naturally to you. Communication, again, Mercury rules communication, so you probably are very articulate, naturally. The fall, again, like I already said, kind of with the Sag thing, when it comes to Pisces, energy is more or less, the same, except, I would say with the fall, it's probably even having a planet in the sign of its fall is probably, a weaker position, even still, than the detriment, especially with Pisces. Mercury in Pisces can definitely, again, probably be seen as having learning disabilities, excuse me, damn, I can't talk today, in some cases. And also, like I said, you definitely would want to try to formulate your sentences slower and take your time before you speak. If you do have Mercury in Pisces, you might stutter more often than other people. But that's the functionality. Excuse me, that's the functionality. And next, I'm gonna be moving on to your Venus sign. Again, if you found this informative, hit that subscribe button. Again, I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can pull up your own chart, look into your own placements, discover your own strengths and weaknesses. But that's it for this video. Until the next one, I'm out.